So music has two main ways to set the mood of a song using chords, either major or minor. Major is generally more bright and cheerful sounding, whereas minor is darker and more somber. Theoretically, the difference between major and minor is only one single note, the third. Major uses the major third, whereas minor, unsurprisingly, uses the minor third. Because of its darker and edgier sound, it will probably come as no surprise to you that the vast majority of metal makes use of minor keys. But that's not to say that metal can't use major sounds as well. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at all of the super cool and interesting ways that metal bands have used major, whether it's to sound heroic, or poppier, or butt rockier. Let's do this. The most common use for major keys is in the chorus. This helps get a catchier melody, similar to how it's done in pop music. Afterlife by Avenged Sevenfold is a very blatant example of this. It even uses the same chords as Despacito. Here are some other great examples of major choruses in metal. It's also super common to stay in minor throughout the whole song, but use major sounding chord progressions in the chorus, where it's not that clear if it's major or minor. Here are some perfect examples of this in practice. Since power chords are just made of the root and fifth, they lack the note that makes a chord major or minor, i.e. the third. This makes the use of major chords a bit less obvious and in your face. If you'd like to learn more about all of the concepts talked about in today's video and unlock access to my entire archive of guitar exercises, masterclasses and song lessons, then click the link in the description down below and get started at Bradley Hall's Guitar School with a free 7-day free trial on me. Sometimes power chords are complemented with their seventh, which makes the chord quality more clear. In more emo styles of music, you sometimes see a major 7 used to resolve back to the 1. How lovely.
Let's go!
But why exactly would you choose to use major in metal when so much of it is usually just in minor? There are many different moods and flavors that you can set using major keys, and they usually fit within the same few categories. One of the most obvious examples probably would be in power metal to achieve a more heroic sound. And also for a more fantasy, whimsical vibe, like in symphonic power metal. Major is also the standard in hair metal, essential for that 80s upbeat driving sound. It's also extremely common in folk metal for those happy, jolly melodies. It's also not uncommon in more butt rock type metal, such as Hero of the Day by Metallica. Major chords can also be combined with minor chords for a more sweet, melancholic sound. Devin Townsend does this a lot, such as in the song Numbered. In this next section, I'm going to be talking about modes a bit. If you're unsure what modes are, they're essentially just the major and minor scales, but used in different contexts to achieve different flavours. I also have a comprehensive, easy to follow 4-part course explaining modes over on my Patreon, which I would highly recommend if you want to fully master this stuff. So, it's very common to flatten the 7th degree of the major scale and use the Mixolydian mode as a tonal centre for more butt rock, blues influenced styles. Iron Maiden love to do this, such as in their classics Run to the Hills and Number of the Beast. Another great example of this is in A Rite of Passage by Dream Theater. And also Hero of the Day, like I mentioned earlier. Mixolydian can also be combined with notes of its parallel minor for a more bluesy sound, such as in Peace Sells by Megadeth. Another use for borrowing chords from the minor mode is to get a more epic sound, like in the flat 6, flat 7 heroic cadence in Winds of Wisdom by Twilight Force. This technique is called modal interchange, and another great example of it is the song Heaven Can Wait by Iron Maiden, where it uses it to achieve the same epic sound even with different chords. There are plenty of other wildcard examples that didn't completely fit the other categories, but I think we'll talk about them anyway. Spit It Out by Slipknot goes to the relative major for the chorus, but it's a pretty odd example since it uses a lot of chromaticism, so its harmony is not that clear. The Lydian mode is way less popular within the genre, but sometimes appears in a slightly ambiguous way to achieve an open or spacey sound for parts like verses. The verse to Aerials by System of a Down is surprisingly fully in Lydian to get that spacey open sound. The chorus to Tears Don't Fall by Bullet for My Valentine is also Lydian sounding, as it keeps going back to the flat 6th degree of the minor key for a melancholic sound. I do hope this video was interesting, informative, and maybe even fun. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.